When we talk about fantastic space explorations, we immediately think of those who could reach the moon. Before, these were just written in our science textbooks. But right now, there is an addition to that, a new moon base. Now, fasten your seatbelts as we tell you more about NASA and SpaceX's insane moon base in this video. But before that, don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell button to be notified whenever we publish a new video. The last human landing on the moon was over 50 years ago. As part of the Artemis program, NASA plans to establish a lunar colony in 2024. The two goals of this program are human crewed journeys to the moon and a permanent human presence on the lunar surface. The program is after the goddess of the moon. In Greek mythology, Artemis was Apollo's twin sister. It's a way for NASA to express gratitude for the Apollo missions responsible for putting the first man on the moon. The Artemis Base Camp, built near the South Pole, is the program's major attraction. The camp is part of NASA's plan to establish a human presence in deep space to assist future human crewed and uncrewed missions. The Artemis Base Camp will also play an essential part in NASA and SpaceX's human Mars mission. In 2024, humans will make their trip to the moon. Elon Musk, the wealthy creator and CEO of SpaceX, thinks that the company's Starship deep space transportation system will allow the mission to take place. SpaceX was created in 2002 to revolutionize space access and facilitate the creation of a multi-planetary civilization. SpaceX now launches planned missions to space using its Falcon 9 and Falcon Heavy launch vehicles. SpaceX has been awarded a $2.89 billion contract by NASA to develop and build a modified version of the spacecraft for lunar landings. As previously stated, the project's initial goal was to complete 2 trips, an unscrew demonstration trip and a rudimentary lunar landing. A lunar landing derivative of SpaceX's Starship will transport personnel from the Lunar Orbital Gateway to the Surface Base Camp. The Starship Human Land System, or HLS, is the name given to it. As part of NASA and SpaceX's aspirations to explore and populate Mars, they'll be leading the charge. This modified Starship was built with a human landing in mind. The lack of heat shields and air brakes is the significant difference between the basic Starship design and the Starship HLS. This is owing to the moon's lack of atmosphere, which prevents the Starship HLS from heating up as it lands. This spacecraft also has a unique landing thruster utilized during descent and takeoff from the moon's surface. The Starship HLS is supposed to lift off from Earth and use the big boots to get there. The Starship HLS will reach lunar orbit in about 3 days, following which it will just linger in orbit, awaiting the arrival of its astronaut crew. The 4 astronauts will travel from Earth to the moon aboard NASA's Orion spacecraft. NASA and SpaceX have a slight advantage now, but all other national and private space agencies are looking for a breakthrough of the battle for supremacy on the moon and in space. NASA and the Strategic Defense Plan Organization cooperated on the moon in 1994, bringing it back into view for the space agencies. 2 astronauts will be stationed on the moon's surface for around a week beginning in the year 2020. Although Orion will transport up to 4 people, the mission aims to put a female astronaut on the moon. This is for the first time. We'll only have 2 crew members on the task with the human landing, and we'll be on the surface for nearly 6 days. The other astronauts will remain in orbit. The 2 astronauts would take spacewalks on the moon's surface, performing experiments like water ice research. The moon is now a vast gray planet with a few giant boulders and lava tubes scattered over its surface. The lunar's look will change as NASA and SpaceX builds a permanent moon base with the first moon base. This expedition might usher in a new century. It will begin on a lesser scale with only a few astronauts within a few decades. It will continue to grow until the moon becomes an important location for human civilization on the moon, or until a rocket carrying more than a few privately built robots touches the lunar lands while patrolling the surface of Earth's nearest natural satellite, the robot's burst. Sprint will send high-definition video and other data back to Earth. Residents on Earth will be able to see the rover's travel across the moon's surface via a broadcast of the trip. To get off the ground, astronauts would need a huge load-carrying rocket like the Starship. NASA has been without a spaceship capable of even reaching the space stations since 2011. However, an issue of the Space Launch System being significantly delayed is up. This is why NASA is considering using SpaceX's most powerful rocket, which a private company manufactured. SpaceX's Starship will be the world's most powerful operational and heaviest rocket. In December 2020, SpaceX will begin high-altitude flight, testing with 4 Starship rocket prototypes. The Starship rockets have achieved 41,000 feet, but each prototype has detonated while attempting to do so. Starship launched its 5th prototype with 3 Raptor engines on May 5, 2021. It successfully landed and was retrieved after a test flight to 33,000 feet. More prototypes are built in preparation for future test flights with 2 rockets, which may complete a mission. One will transport the crew capsule, while the other will transport a rocket within a rocket. The inner booster will unite with the crew module in the atmosphere to propel the astronauts to the moon. The Chinese Space Agency has already tested this approach with 2 rockets. It could be able to help them complete a mission. The internal launcher will connect with the crew module in space to send the astronauts to the moon. NASA and SpaceX will be retrieving water from under and on the moon's surface. Experts believe Artemis will be the first to access the moon's water content efficiently. Moreover, if the crater meets NASA's criteria for an excellent base camp site, one of the numerous factors NASA considers when deciding on location. These 2 main qualities are the most significant. To power the base and minimize severe temperature fluctuations, the area requires near-constant sunshine. It must also provide simple access to water-holding chambers that are entirely dark. The Artemis base camp's objective of self-sustainability will be aided by having access to ice. The Artemis base camp would be a lunar surface habitat designed to house astronauts' life support systems, which is at the top priority list. Infrastructure for power waste, disposal, communications, radiation shielding, and a landing pad will be required for the plant. According to NASA, the landing pad should be at least half a mile or 1 kilometer away from other base camp elements, like housing or solar panels. The transmitting spacecraft will be at a different height to avoid high-speed debris from being sprayed at equipment or research regions. According to their estimations, this is significant because landing spacecraft force may spew hundreds of kilos of surface particles, water, and other gases across several kilometers. Furthermore, NASA made a public statement explaining their intentions for a lunar outpost on time. A hopper will be part of the Artemis base camp, allowing scientific and technological packages to be delivered anywhere around the moon. The crew at Artemis base camp will operate it, and it will be refueled using locally obtained propellant. NASA also intends to build a lunar radio telescope deployed and operated remotely from Artemis Bay. Because the Artemis base camp is part of NASA's more significant aim to create infrastructure for far space missions, it's like a home radio telescope. This moon colony will serve as a proof of concept for developing long-term colonies on the edge of space. The Artemis base camp will directly fuel technologies and ideas that might enable humanity to populate Mars one day. This is one of the first steps that humanity is taking at this juncture in its evolution. What do you think about NASA and SpaceX's insane moon base? Did it exceed your grander expectations and made you look forward to 2024? Feel free to drop your comments, thoughts, and opinions below. And before leaving, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button for notifications on our future content. See you in the next video.